Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Today, in the class, I will talk about the monsoon. So in this class, you will know what is monsoon, and I will briefly talk about the fundamental mechanism of the monsoon. So talk about the monsoon, what comes to you when you first hear this term, monsoon? Do you have any ideas?
Rain.
Yes, good. Any other ideas?
Wind, lots of wind.
Good.
Storm.
Second?
Storm.
Yes, storm. Correct. So, but here I will start from the ancient time. So the word of the monsoon originally comes from the Arabic and Hindi word monsoon, which means season. And in the 1500s, European countries, they start to have the record of the monsoon in 1500s, and which means a wind or rainfall pattern that shifts seasonally. So just you say wind and rainfall storm. So here I have a question to you. Based on the area and the country and the years, do you have any ideas where were they talking about, or where are the typical monsoon region? Do you have any ideas? Or just give a guess.
Asia.
Asia?
Europe.
Europe?
Middle East.
Second?
Middle East.
Middle East?
No.
Okay, I will show you here. So this is, I would say, the typical or classic monsoon regions. So you say part of Africa, but mostly in the Asia. So you're correct. And why it's 1950s? Because in this season, these years, the European countries start to have a lot of business and trade in Europe, in the Southern Asia, India, and China. So that's why in the European country, they start have the record of the monsoon, this word. So here we show the cartoon of the monsoon. First is welcome to India. Because actually every year, the Indian, they predict the start day of the summer monsoon, because the monsoon will bring a lot of precipitation or a lot of rainfall, and that will contribute to the agriculture in India. So it's very important in India. And also they bring a lot of rainfall, sometimes they will cause a lot of storm. So since we know the basic idea of monsoon, I will talk about the criteria of the monsoon, because we need to give a definition so we can criteria these regions. So in 1971, Ramage, he gave a classical criteria for the monsoon. So there's 4 criteria. First is prevailing wind shift 120 degrees between January and July. Are you clear about the words? So here's an example. If the wind in January, they go this way. So in July, if it is in the monsoon region, the wind direction will change, and this angle more than 120 degrees. And second is the prevailing wind direction persists for at least 40% of the time. Are you clear? So it means in one season, the wind always in the same direction. And the next criteria is the wind speed is 63 meters per second. So it's about 7 miles per hour. So in one season, or 1 month, the wind always have the same direction and the wind speed more than 7 miles per hour. So the first is a pressure pattern satisfy a steadiness criteria. Do you have any idea? So which mean, so this example, this is India summer monsoon season. In this season, they always have a low pressure over here and a high pressure over the southern Indian Oceans. So do you have any questions so far about the criteria of the monsoon? Okay, good. So next, I will talk about the Asia, the different region of the monsoon. So the first is we call the Asia-Australia monsoon. So it's over these regions. So here I also have a question to you. Why I only circle this region instead of all of them? Do you have any ideas? Anyone? I'll give a guess. Okay, I'll show you. Because in East Africa, actually there's a mountain over here. So the mountain will block the surface wind. So we separate the classical monsoon region into two. So one is the Asia's monsoon. So this is the wind pattern and the rainfall pattern of the monsoon. So this one is July, and this is January. So in July, the wind blow from southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere and bring a large rainfall over this region. And in January, just as I said, the wind pattern will change more than 120 degrees. So the wind flow from northern hemisphere to southern hemisphere. And also they fit other criteria, and also they have a consistent, steady pressure pattern. In different seasons, they have a different pattern. Any questions so far? Okay, so next is Africa monsoon. So similarly, there's the wind pattern different. So this is in July, and this is January. So you say in July, the wind goes from the Atlantic Ocean to the Sahel, and in January, the wind have an opposite direction, and the rainfall pattern also changed. So this is Asia and Africa monsoon. So I will question to you, where is the American monsoon? We live here. You may heard about this term, American monsoon, especially in July and August in Arizona. Do you have any idea where is American monsoon?
In America?
Okay, it's fine. So let me show you, because this is a traditional criteria for the monsoon. So, but right now we have a new view of monsoon, which means the wind doesn't match the classical criteria of the monsoon like Asia and Africa. But during the summertime, the rainfall and the wind characteristics are similar to the India monsoon. So this is why we have a Southern American monsoon and the Northern American monsoon. So it's only happened in summer. So why we have a different kind of monsoon? You want me to give a guess?
Because near the sea or near the ocean?
Yes. These are very important factors that cause the difference. So next, before we go into that, we need to know the mechanism of the monsoon. So here I will just quickly go through the mechanism, because each term is very difficult. Maybe when you are in the master degree, working on your master degree, you will learn these all terms. But basically, we know monsoon means season. So the first mechanism is seasonal change of solar radiation. So we know in different seasons, the sun hits different parts of the earth, like this one. So like when you boiling a waters, if you move your parts, you see water boil in different parts. So this is December. So in January, the sun hits the southern parts of Earth, and in July and January, the sun hits the northern hemisphere. So it causes the circulation change. And the second mechanism is a different heating between the land and the ocean. So follow the first term. When the sun hits the northern hemisphere, the land will heat very quickly, so it becomes warmer. So the ocean will become relatively cooler. So wind will flow from the southern hemisphere to northern hemisphere, just like when you go into your kitchen and you open the freezer, you will feel the cold air brought to you. So because the cold air has more dense, so the wind will flow from the higher dense location to the small dense location, so like this one. So in the wintertime, there are opposite directions. So just like you said, so the land and sea location cause the difference. So, and furthermore, because the size of the continent are totally different in the Eurasia continent and the North American continent. It's total difference. So because of the continent difference, there's a result in the monsoon system in Asia and Africa are very strong, but in American, they only happen in summertime. So this is very important. So next is a heating process. Okay, here, I just want you to know the monsoon not just result from one or two mechanisms. Actually, combine a lot of mechanisms, and each of them are very important. And you don't need to remember all of them, but you need to have a concept that combine a lot of difficult dynamic process and the thermodynamic process. So this one, the heating process, we call it a Gill model. This Gill, he puts a forcing in the tropic, then they will induce the circulation like the summer monsoon circulation. So this is one of the mechanisms. And other mechanisms like the land and sea distribution, different location of land and sea, and moisture process and convergence, that all will maintain our monsoon system. So far, do you have any questions about the monsoon? So here is my summary, or just a take-home message about the monsoon. So if you have any question, just after class, just come to me. Yeah, I can answer you more detail about each turns. So, okay, let's take class and enjoy sunny but cool weekend. Thank you.